What's up, guys? Today we are making a wig, a quick weave wig to be exact. Everything I'm using is listed in the description bar. We're going to start with the mannequin head. Mine is 21 inches. I'm going to use a mesh dome cap. I use mesh usually. If you don't have that, you can use two of these. These are just regular wig caps, and this is what the mesh one looks like in person. It literally is mesh, and it's sealed together with an elastic band around the edge. Really cool thing about this cap is that once you're done making the wig, if you're making a frontal, you'll be able to use the elastic that you cut out from under the frontal to make the elastic for the elastic band method. Isn't that really cool? Today we're going to be using a 4x4 closure, so we won't be doing that or needing that, but I just wanted to put that out there for you guys. I also like this brand in the spandex ones as well. It has perforated lines so you can see where the front is. It's a little bit wider and thinner in the back. I kind of line it up with the perforated lines on my dome cap. It doesn't fit perfect, but it acts as a guide. You're going to need your needle and thread. That was nylon thread. It's a little bit more shiny than the normal cheaper thread. I just prefer this one because I feel like I like the way my wigs come out, much flatter. Also a curved needle, and then this is the hair we're going to be using. This is some really nice deep wave hair, 3 bundles in a 4x4 closure, a really nice texture. I have this hair linked down below. It did come from a company by the name of Ghair. They also included these really cool 3D mink lashes that I love so much. And this is a quick shot of the closure. It comes with baby hair. It's not pre-plucked, so we definitely will be plucking this on camera. And I'll be showing you how I do that really quick, really natural with a pull method. I'm not going to bleach the knots. I'm going to actually use powder at the very end. This is going to protect and save my closure from over bleaching and shedding and all that greatness. This here that I'm pointing out, the edges, is called a ribbon, or at least that's what I like to call it. And this is where we're going to sew. We're not going to sew on the lace. We're going to sew on the ribbon. And again, there are perforated lines on the cap. Even if you're not using mesh, most caps will have these perforated lines. And that's kind of like how I mark or guide where the center is. Now when my wig comes out, it may not be perfect. Don't focus on perfection, just kind of use it as a guide. Now these are T-pins, and these are what you're going to use to kind of hold your wig in place on the cap on the mannequin head. So I'm going to slide the closure down as centered as possible with those perforated lines. Let it meet the front of the cap, and then slide it ever so slightly in front of the cap, and then secure it with the T-pins, making sure it is pulled taut enough so that it doesn't buckle or that it's not, you know, loose in a way, so that whenever I'm done with the wig, it will lay super flat. You don't want to go too far ahead, but you kind of see how it's ever so slightly in front of the cap. Kind of like when the wig is done, if you do it exactly on there, for some reason it feels like, it's going to feel like the closure is a little bit too far back and not far enough. It's kind of like you're putting the baby hair before the wig. It kind of is the guide. Now I'm going to go ahead and readjust it because I want to make sure it's tight. This is the process you can do as much as you can or need to do until you feel like everything matches up the way you want. From there I kind of flip it over, and I kind of do the same thing in the back, where I just want it to fit tightly based on where it is, basically aligned with the front. And I just make sure I pull it so that it feels super tight. Now I'm going to make the bun, or a bun, with the remainder of the hair. You definitely, especially with curly hair, even with straight hair, you'll have flyaways and things like that. So make it into a tight bun. You can use like duckbill clips to kind of like clip the like shedding and not shedding, but the flyaway hairs, so that they won't get crossed into your stitching. To be honest, a lot of the times the flyaways do get into my stitching, and I don't worry about it. I just continue to go with the flow, and I just make my wig. Now once you have the wig pinned down, you can definitely go ahead and start your sewing. So when I sew a 4x4 closure, it is completely different than when I sew a frontal. If you guys want to see a tutorial on how I sew a frontal down to a cap, please let me know and I will do an updated video. In the case of a 4x4 closure, I do 3 separate stitches. I stitch this side here, which will be considered the left side. I'm going to cut the stitching off once I can finish. I can't even talk today, you guys. I'm going to cut the excess thread once I finish this side up, and you'll see that in just a moment. Now I feel like I have the left side completely stitched once I hit that T-pin up top. and then I'm going to knot it really good. And I always move and adjust my T-pins as needed to kind of get them out of the way. If I feel like something is not tight, I'll readjust, and I'll show you that also in just a moment. Now here we are done, so I kind of just went ahead and swiveled it a little bit and made a quick stitch, and I cut. Now you see it lays super flat, so it's not going to buckle, but you can see the way I did that, for some reason I always find that I have to readjust the remainder of the closure pretty much every step of the way to keep it tight. Don't know why this is, but it just is. But don't feel like, oh my god, it is loose on the other side now, so I'm doing something wrong. This is very normal. Now I'm going to start a whole new stitch to go across the top. And the reason I'm doing this is because I find that when I stitch it all the way around, not always, but just sometimes I kind of feel like once the wig is completely done and I put it on and I try to part it, like say down the center, it will kind of buckle and not lay flat. So at each joint or each like curve, like, you know, you kind of want it to be free to move as it needs, because when you sew it all the way around on all three sides without separating, it just sometimes will buckle and not lay flat. So sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't for me. I haven't figured out exactly what I do wrong. But to just, you know, cancel it out altogether, like I said, I just do 3 stitches and I never ever have this problem. Now when you're done, you want to make sure you kind of triple knot that and make sure that each one is, you know, super tight so that you never have to worry about your tracks coming out. And this is what it should look like. The closure is laying super duper flat. The baby hair is in front of the lace so that when I cut off that excess cap, it's going to lay super flat. And it's going to be exactly what everything needs. If you get really technical, it probably isn't like perfectly aligned. Those are the things that you don't want to worry about. Just worry about getting the closure on there as best you can and don't stress yourself out. And at this point, we are done with the closure and we're going to lay our tracks. I do recommend that if you are frustrated from that frontal girl, go have a tea, go have something to drink, relax, and take a break before you go onto the tracks. Don't let this be harder than it needs to be. Don't overwhelm yourself. Now we're going to go ahead and sew, or not even sew, we're going to go ahead and hot glue 2.5 bundles to the cap. Now some people will say that they don't put the tracks on this cap right here, or at least on the elastic. I personally do, because I don't like for the tracks to start really high up. I need them to start at the very end of the nape so that it just looks full, natural, and not like a big gap at the back of my neck. And that's just preference, and that's why I choose this cap, because some caps, if you do this, they will not be tight enough, and it's almost like it'll not fit the nape of your neck. This cap here fits my head personally. Some of you may find that this cap is too small for you or too big for you. Kind of try and find the cap that is the right size for you. I feel like the mesh dome caps are for smaller heads. The spandex caps have a little bit more stretch. So I'll leave both down below. And again, this is a quick weave wig using the hot glue gun method. They have clear glue and they have black glue. I personally prefer the clear glue. The reason is, for some reason, the consistency or the material of the hot glue of the black one, it just melts a little bit differently. They both probably get to the same temperature, but this one kind of stays. It's not a solid. It definitely, like when you see it, it goes to a liquid. But at the same time, the black one goes to a complete liquid. It drips and gets a little bit more messy. I've actually like burned my thigh really bad with it. I've also burned my finger really bad. With this one, if it gets on my skin, it burns to the touch. It hurts really bad. So be aware, but it doesn't like burn my skin like a 3rd-degree burn. Whereas the black one, like I literally have had like burns that like wilted up and turned into scars. So be very careful with both, but especially the black. Now I've been talking all this time. Hopefully you were following along the pattern that I am doing. I don't like to take the back tracks all the way to meet the closure, just because the hair is going to be 3 different lengths. So I kind of want to make sure that the shortest length is in the front near the closure, opposed to the longer lengths being in the front, just because, you know, I want the layering effect to come to the front and frame my face as well. If you are doing all the same lengths, then this probably won't matter to you. And it's all about preference in how you lay your tracks. Sometimes I do it this way where I kind of start at the nape and I just work my way up. Sometimes I will, let the tracks meet. It literally just depends on, my mood of the day and what I'm going for. Today, I really wanted the layers to show at the very front. Now at this point, it really is no rhyme or reason. You want your tracks to be as flat as possible. Keep in mind that you do not want to run out of tracks, so make sure that your spacing is on point. Normally, if you're going to do a closure, I would recommend picking up 4 bundles just because you don't want to run out. Like, I hate the anxiety of having 3 bundles and hoping that I don't run out and kind of like anticipating running out. But I'm, well versed in this enough to know that 3 bundles was going to be enough. In this case, actually 2.5 bundles was enough. But if you're someone who's like, I'm going to be nervous, I'm going to run out, then just go ahead and get an extra bundle. If you want, this video is here forever, so just go ahead and continue to watch the placement of the tracks as a guide to see where you want to place. I honestly cannot explain it, but all of that was one track. Now we're on to the second track. And we've got it like rounded enough around the sides, so we're going to go with shorter tracks right now to kind of let it catch up and meet and like kind of go up just in the center a little bit. And again, this is one of those things where you can favorite this video, add it to a playlist on your channel, and you can private it so no one can see it. But that way you can go back and continue to watch this video over and over again. When I started out making my own wigs, that's exactly what I did. I would come to YouTube, I would find a video, a tutorial that suited what looked best and someone who explained the process to me in a way that I understood, and I would continue to watch that same video over and over and over until I got it. And I know for me, Tiara was the one who I really liked her video, Malibu Doll Face. There are quite a few creators here on YouTube who have some amazing videos that have been out for years, and those kind of paved the way and kind of helped me to understand all of them, in their own little way. Now here you can kind of see, I kind of just do a progress check just to see how thick it's feeling. Because it's curly, looks can be deceiving. It can look big, but it can be very sparse and thin. But I'm pretty pleased with where we are. But make sure you're checking along. You want to make sure that when the wig is done, you're not like, oh, I made that too thin. And this is the third bundle, and you can see where we are in this process. I'm only going to use a few tracks of this bundle. So I would say I used about half. I kind of skimmed through that last part because it literally was repetitive, me doing the exact same thing. Now you're going to take the wig off. I think I forgot to mention, but you guys did see I did add the shower cap to this one. Now I won't recommend this. Normally I add the shower cap to my mesh dome caps. When you add it to the spandex, it is going to be hard to remove it. If you want to put something to protect your mannequin head, I would recommend you using a grocery bag, which is a little bit thicker, or just using a styrofoam mannequin head. That way you won't ruin your canvas. This one was like 30 something bucks, so it's a really nice one and it should last you a while. But if you do get glue on it, it is really hard to remove the cap from the canvas. Like the canvas dust, like the glue does go through the cap and stick to the canvas, so that it makes it hard to pull it off. Just a warning, and that's the reason why you kind of want a barrier of having a trash bag or something there. But with the mesh, it will kind of glue to the track a little bit. So just keep those things in mind. If you're interested in getting a canvas mannequin head, maybe use that for other things, but use a styrofoam one for your quick weaves where you're going to be gluing. And here I am going ahead and just using the pull method to kind of make it look a little bit more natural. Since this is a closure, I do like to make it look as best like a frontal as possible. And I'm just literally, no rhyme or reason, just pulling hair out. Now in some places, like to the left or the left side, you kind of see where it kind of looks like a bald spot. I kind of like that. You're going to see once the wig is done that it's not going to look bald by any means. And even after I finished this process, I still customized a whole lot more once I put the wig on. But that's just what I like. I like to customize it with it on because I get a better eye of what I'm doing. I'm using a little razor from Sally's to go ahead and trim it much shorter so that I have my baby hair already pre-cut. Off camera, I'm going to cut the lace. I'm going to part it. I'm going to tweeze out the parting a little bit. I'm going to add powder to the parting. I used the Morphe powder in the parting. Everything I use is listed down below. I used wet to style it and water. I used the foam mousse at the crown of the head to like kind of lay the parting down, and I used the beeswax edge control on the, there it goes right there, on the baby hair. And of course I did redo the baby hair once I got the wig on, and I kind of customized it a little bit more. But yeah, that's it. I hope this one was easy to follow along. I am going to have an updated elastic band method on my channel, just because I feel like everybody always says you go too fast whenever I do one, or some people just don't understand what I'm trying to explain. So I'm going to try and explain it as best I can, but stay tuned for that video. That video will be showing you how to basically make your wigs glueless and not have to put any got to be glued, any ghost bond, any bow hold. Literally your frontals will lay flat. Even for the 4x4 closures, these wigs fit a little bit tighter so that I don't need an elastic band, but I just still put one out of habit. This hair was beautiful and a dream to work with. It definitely had a nice curl pattern, no shedding or anything crazy. You can kind of see where we're at with it. Really pleased with the results. Okay, so the wig is finally done. I need to go ahead and put a scarf on it and just let it sit. I'm about to give the kids a bath, so I'll do that in just a moment. Whenever I make a wig, especially a 4x4 closure style wig, I like to just put a scarf on really tight, like around here, like, you know, around to my nape, and just let it sit, and that's just going to make it like super duper flat. I did kind of customize the front a little bit, but I have a little ways to go. Again, I'm just like in the process. I just wanted to show you guys that the wig came out super gorgeous without even, you know, putting my scarf on yet. It already is super flat and gorgeous. As far as what I put on the hair, it is a really nice deep wave hair, and I just went ahead and used my wet. You guys know that's my holy grail product. It's just a clear like liquid, and it makes it so that when the hair dries, it still looks like this opposed to being looking dry or whatever. So I have everything I used in the description bar. Also, it was 3 bundles and a 4x4 closure, and I would say the bundles were nice and full, because the 3rd bundle I only used a couple of tracks, maybe about a quarter. I still have more than half of the bundle left. Maybe this is a little, yeah, I would say it's less, more than half left. So, and it still came out nice and full. So if you want your super duper full, kind of put your tracks a little tighter together, and you'll be able to definitely fit this in. I didn't necessarily feel the need to like cram the tracks, because I didn't want the wig too heavy. I feel like this is nice and full without being too much. I always test, like whenever I do my wig, and I kind of go like this. If I can see like a little hole right here, like if it's like this, when it's down like this or like this, every time I like go like this, I can see like right here that little hole. That's how I know it's too thin for me. But yeah, I don't have any complaints about the hair. It worked like a dream. Only shedding I got is when I tweezed out this. I went ahead and brushed it out, and I got, of course, the hair that I pulled out. Other than that, there was no tangling and shedding. Let me give you guys a texture shot from the back. So I hope this one was easy to follow along with. I want you guys to really get familiar and comfortable with making your own wigs. I really want all of my babies to be able to make your own wigs at home and not have to rely on other people to make your wigs, or, you know, be out here looking crazy with the ones that you do make. Even if you mess up, you know, there's ways to fix it, finesse it. Trust me, I've messed up on my wigs a million and one times. I've made wigs and they come like way back here, like it was like too little, and I've been able to finesse it. So we'll go with the flow, and you know, practice makes perfect. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. We are like less than 2,500 away from 100,000 subscribers. I know, I cannot believe it. Hopefully we'll get it by the end of this month. It's only like a week and a half left of this month, so I'm going to really push and crank out these videos for you guys to get the exposure and get people to see the videos so that they can watch, like, subscribe, all that greatness, and then I'm going to do a big surprise giveaway for you at 100K. I'm hoping it doesn't take a long time to get the plaque, because when I get the plaque, I want to do like a big party here on YouTube for you guys and give you guys a huge giveaway, like $500 giveaway. So make sure you subscribe, make sure your notifications are turned on, because when that $500 giveaway comes up, I'm sure you guys don't want to miss it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.